All right, so let's go ahead and finish out this document. We have just a couple more things to do. What we need to do first is we need to put this border in. Then we're going to be going over text paths and how to put your text on this arc sort of path right here. And then we're just going to be going over a little sort of something you can do to your text to remove these hyphens off the end and make the text overall look a little bit better. So let's get started on this. The first thing I'm going to do is the simplest, which is going to be to create this border here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here into our tools, and then we're going to go to the rectangle tool. If you notice, M will also get you there. That's the little keyboard shortcut to the right there. And then what we're going to do is we're actually just going to create a rectangle right on the margins here. So we're going to go up here to the top left. We're going to click, and you'll see that it automatically locks us to the edges like so. And then we're going to drag down, and we're going to go right here, and you'll see that it also jumps us right there as well. So now that we've created this object, we can go ahead and click on the two buttons up here to control the fill and to control the stroke. The stroke is the outside coloring, which is this right here. So think of this as a rectangle with a white interior and a purple stroke. Except the thing is up here, this is not white. This is called transparent or no color at all, which means it's not going to input any color whatsoever, and it's going to take whatever is beneath it. So for example, if I went here and I clicked on go up to here, and then I went to actual white, you'll see that it actually covers everything up, and we don't want to do that. So what we want to do is keep it on this this no color aspect right here. And then we want to go down here to the stroke, and let's change its color. To do that, just double click on this and you'll bring up the color viewer. And this is an interesting way of doing it. They have the luminous over here, lumosity, I guess you could call it, which is how bright it is. And you'll see that as you increase the brightness, you kind of change the color around as well. And then you can actually change the red, green, and blue aspects, and then just kind of get your color. There's actually some really neat colors in here. Let's go here and let's drag it down. Yeah, let's go with a nice green border this time. So now that we have our border selected, this is how big our border is going to be, and this right here is the way it's going to appear. So if we increase the size, you'll start to see it appearing here. And if we click out for a second and we click the W key, you'll see that this is what the final product is going to look like. And so let's go ahead and select this again, and we can actually kind of play around with these. If we click, like, for example, wavy, you'll see that it has this like wavy sort of design on the edge. Make sure you select it once again. What is it? Japanese dots. That kind of looks neat. Let's go ahead and actually let's go with, I'm going to go with left-hand slash on this. I think that those always kind of look neat like so. And so yeah, now we got this neat little border going. Let's next add in our little arced text right here. So to do this, we're going to actually need to not go to the text tool, because if we go to the text tool, we're going to create ourselves a text box, and it's going to be just plain sort of like down here. So instead, we're going to create ourselves a path. To do that, you're going to go to the pen tool right here. What the pen tool does is it does just that. It creates paths, and if you connect the first one back to the starting one, it actually creates a shape, and you can give it a fill and a sort of the stroke and everything just like a normal shape. However, if you don't connect it right like this, then it's just a path, and we can actually write on paths. So that's what we're going to be doing right here. So make sure you have the pen tool selected over here. There's also add, remove, and then convert direction point. They're just all ways to manipulate the path. So just make sure you have the pen tool without any little like plus or minuses next to it. Then we're going to click on the left right here, and then we're going to go over here, and we don't want to click too high or too low. So we're actually going to click on the shift button. So we're going to hold shift, and we're going to click over here. And what that does is you see that I was way off. I was way up here, but it creates a perfectly straight line as long as we're holding down shift. So I could be like even down here, and it's going to create a perfectly straight line as long as you don't get past the 45-degree angle and it starts making the lines this way. So now that we have a perfectly straight line, we could write on this now, except the problem is it wouldn't be arced. So what we need to do is we need to make this arced. So what we can do is we can select on this. We can then go into the convert direction point tool, and we can grab the center right here, or click on the edge right here. You can grab one of the edges actually and move it around like so. And what you're doing is you're creating a contour. You're making it so that it doesn't come directly in like this straight line right here, what it's doing right now. And you can see that by the little sort of opposite point on the other side. You can stretch this out, and you can actually make an arc from it by just doing something like this. Yeah, that looks like a pretty solid arc. And then let's move the arc so it's more centered like so. And now what we have is this arc that goes up and across like that. So remember, just now we're going to click on this little contour button, and you can click on either of the edges, and then you click and drag to make that arc. So now instead of using the text tool, we're going to use the tool right under it, which is type on a path tool. So we're going to have that selected. Go in there. You can hold this to bring it out and click it, or you can hit Shift T. And then since we have a path right here, we're going to go until it has that little plus button on it, and we're going to click right there. And now you'll see a cursor appears. So now we can type elegant bayfront estate like so. And then we can go ahead and click on this, highlight it, click on it. You can click Control A to highlight all the text, or just highlight it like that. And then we're going to go ahead and up the font size right here until it fills the entire arc like so. If we go too far, it's going to cut off the edge. So let's back it up just to right there where it fills up the entirety of the arc right here. And now we have one last thing to do. You'll notice that there's still this underline here. We don't want the actual path in our final product. So what we're going to do is make sure we have the line selected like so. And then we're going to just drop this down to 0. And that's going to make the stroke disappear. And then the path is still there, but the visual representation of the stroke of that path is gone. So now we have this beautiful arc going, and it creates a sort of neat little word font sort of stuff up here where it isn't just straight across. It's got this sort of fun little arc going with it. And then now the last thing we're going to cover is just right into here. So a lot of times when we create the text, it's going to try to compress it down into the best version. Like, it's going to try to fit it to the text box as best as possible. A lot of times though, what it does to do that is it cuts words right in the middle and it hyphens the ends of the words. So you can see that this is what colocilium, right, like that, but it cuts the colocil and then right on the next part to the eum. What we want to do is we want to make sure that it is going to move this entire word down. So we can go up to word or window and then down to the paragraph, or into the text, which is right here, type in tables, and then we're gonna go into paragraph right there. And then all we have to do is you'll see the paragraph comes up. It's a tab just like so. It'll come up over here, or it'll appear somewhere, and just find that tab. Then we're gonna go ahead and click on the text that we want to dehyphenate, and we're just gonna uncheck this box, which says hyphenate. And you'll notice that it just takes all those words and moves them down. And you'll also notice one more thing. It also offsets text, because instead of being able to hyphenate and cut words, it has to push every one of those words to a new line, which starts to build up over time. And you'll see that we actually have one additional word that got pushed out of our text box. However, I think if we just reorganize the text box just a little bit, it looks perfectly fine. We can do the exact same thing. Just select the text right here, go over to the paragraph tab and undo the hyphenate button. And you'll see that now both of them don't have any hyphens in them. And to me, that always looks better. There's a couple situations where you might need to use a hyphen, but I don't really typically use them. So to avoid them, it's always going to come by default as hyphenate on. Just click on the paragraph, unhyphenate it. And later on, we'll kind of go over how to make sure that all of our text doesn't have hyphens in it. But that is it on this sort of mini project. We built this thing from scratch, from just a plain document. We've added in our pictures, we have added in our text, created a nice little border, and we've learned a whole lot about InDesign along the way. Now we have a pretty good understanding of some of the tools in InDesign. We haven't really gone in depth on a lot of the tools, but we're slowly learning and we're slowly building it up. And as we continue into the next topics, we're going to keep continuing this learning where we're going to just attach little bits and pieces. And by the end of this, you're going to be feeling good and you'll know a lot of these tools and how to create what you want when you want to.